All right, YouTube. This is not. This is not the video that I wanted to make. Coming back to pre-recorded videos, but tried, man. I fucking tried. I tried so hard. I tried so hard not to do it. I tried so hard not to do this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but I have to. I have to do it. I mean, I really don't want to, but I have to. So somebody in the community sent me a video. If you're here watching this, you probably read the description, and you know what we're doing. Even though I don't really want to do it. Oh boy. Like, you could make this shit up if you try. But we got to do it. We got to do it. So it's time for what every single one of you love about this channel. It's time for what every single one of you have wanted back. Keep messaging me about it. Somebody sent me a video and I made the mistake of watching it. At least the first 15 minutes. And now I got some things to say. I got some things to say. And I'm going to say them. And the haters are going to hate. But without any further ado, let's do this shit. Oh, that face, the face I never thought was gonna be on this channel again. Ooh. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
When I got this book, all I heard was look through the pages, and when I did, this is what appeared.
Yep, that's what appeared. It just appeared there. In the middle of the book. Oh, boy. Sorry. Sorry, I had to pause it. So, here we go.
Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video. My name is Melinda Lyons. I'm the Last Frontier Medium, and this is my channel, Last Frontier Medium. I don't have my nails on today, so I feel so weird. I just got done doing a whole bunch of tarot videos for my new second channel, Ascended Tarot. Be sure to check it out. That channel is really special to me. I'm just so fresh into the whole channel of this second channel, but I'm really excited about it, and I just wanted to let you guys chime in on that new channel, and I'm really excited about that progress there. But today we're going to be talking about an author.
Hold on a second. I gotta get rid of that beeping sound. Every time I mute the mic, like, it's beeping, and that's gonna get irritating as fuck. I just know it is. So let's just get feedback sounds. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. No more feedback sounds. All right, let's do it. Oh, for Jesus.
That I'm not very happy about. Before I begin, my name is Melinda, and I'm the Last Frontier Medium. I'm an astral exorcist.
An astral exorcist. We've gone over that before, but.
And I'm a demonologist. So when I say demonologist, what does that mean to you first off? A lot of demonologists, people that identify as demonologists, are typically people that are demonologists. Okay, there's a difference. A demonologist is a study of demons. Demonologist is a person who works with demons. I don't do that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it like back, like when I first started reacting, like, wasn't it that like she kind of put together the whole astral exorcism thing and the demonology thing together, and that her being a demonologist was the reason why demons were afraid of her? All right, so before we move forward with this, the basis here, the thing that makes everything she says and anyone like her essentially bullshit. If you go back into the video catalog that we have, I had done a video that described the origins of the word demon. So if your definition of a demon is a malevolent entity that seeks to cause harm, seeks to cause harm or to do damage or operates out of malice, then that is a Judeo-Christian definition of the word demon, because the word demon is derived from the ancient Greek daemon, which I have a video on, which you should go watch, which I'll probably try to link somewhere over here so you can watch that. But a demon, or a daemon, which is where the word is derived from, demon, the word demon is derived from, is not a malevolent entity, but rather a guide. Exactly what it is. It is a guide. It was a word that was taken, stolen, and perverted by, well, who else? You know, church. So that in and of itself completely destroys like this whole concept, right? So I don't believe, I personally don't believe this, in my opinion, this is just how I operate, that the entities that we work with are by far older than anything that we call them today. Images and the names that we use are just new names and new faces for old energies. That's it. Very old and ancient energies. They are not benign, or they're not malevolent. I neither. And they're not malevolent or benevolent. Just are, right? So it's an important thing to kind of remember, like moving forward. And one of the reasons why I find a lot of the stuff affable. Now, and I know that a lot of people inside of the left-hand path community will probably wholeheartedly disagree with me. You know, I'm not trying to make friends on any side here, but you know, we're going to get into some shit. So here we go. Get back into it.
Problem here is that when I say that, I get a lot of people saying that you don't know what you're talking about. When I don't even work with demons, I study them. I don't work with them. There's a big difference. We're going to do a review based on that exact subject. We're going to do a review. I'm going to tell you my honest feedback of why this book is trash.
Now, just for sake of knowing, I have not read the book. I have seen reviews long before this. This has nothing really to do with the book. Like, my reacting to this video has nothing to do with this book. We'll all see. Well, you've all seen. Wow, fuck. You've all seen why I'm reacting to this. The whole Baphomet thing. So for those of you that don't know, Baphomet is my patron deity. It's I'm a full-on dedicant to Baphomet. And I'm writing a book about Baphomet and working with Baphomet and history of Baphomet and why I believe Baphomet is an entity and not just a representation, or I like to believe, which will be published in October. So that's coming up pretty soon. So if you guys would like to support that book, there's links to the Patreon in the description, and there's some perks that you get to support the book in my writing the book and publishing it. So yeah, but a little bit about the person that did write this book, because I did do a little bit of research. So the person that wrote this book, Matt Arian, I don't know if I'm butchering the last name, but Matt is a best-selling author for that book, actually, Psychic Witch, and has a laundry list of accommodations and just things to his name that make him a far more reliable source of information than Melinda Lyons. So if I were you, I would believe Matt over Melinda. Just saying.
If you like this book and if you like this author, I just want to be very clear about one thing. This is my psychic and my witch opinion. As a medium, as a psychic medium, and as a witch, I...
Psychic opinion. Sounds a little ridiculous. It's just an opinion, man. It's psychic opinion. Like, is that something supposed to be kind of like professional opinion? Like your professional opinion because you think you're a professional psychic? And witch thing, you know, that's last, what, 8 months now? Calling yourself a witch. I don't know. I'm not here to... I can't lie. I am here to talk all the shit. I am here to talk all the shit. And enjoy every second of it. All right, here we go.
I am a firm believer in karma. I'm a firm believer that you get what you sow, you get what you dish out. And I'm also a firm understander in how demons work.
I'm a firm understander. Yes, I am. Firm understander. How about I have a firm understanding? Sorry. Whatever.
In their illustrations, in their illusions, and in their magic. Because I did spend time in hell. I was in there for over 1,800 years. And a lot of people, when I tell people that or they see that on my channel, they think it's a lie. But what people don't understand...
No, we don't think it's a lie, Melinda. We know it's a lie. We don't think, we know. Okay? That there is no thinking about it. There's no two ways about it. You did not spend 1,800 years in hell. You were not taken advantage of by demons. Didn't happen. And if you think it happened, then, well, you need a little help. You need to talk to somebody. Professional somebody. Because, as I've said in the past, your fantasy traumas in your fantasy world destroy people that have actually had real life trauma. I've had actually had things actually happen to them. So yeah, there's that.
is that the time in hell is very different from the time here. So time is not linear. So on the other realms, time is much faster, whereas here it's a lot slower. So 5 minutes here could be 50 to 500 years in hell. Now, when I give my feedback on these books, I never claim to know everything. That's a big #1 aspect here. And I never claim to know everything there is to know based on demons, angels, psychic abilities, witchcraft.
She doesn't claim to know everything, but everything she says is law. Like, just by the way she says it. Like, there is no room for error. There is no room for, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this could be something different. It's no, this is how it is. And this is what I'm telling you. And this is what she is. A fascist wrapped into the disguise of this damn light warrior bullshit. She lives in this fantasy world where she believes that she is some type of special person out of 8 billion people on the planet. She's so special that she has been designated to fight everything you can't see. I do believe that there are psychological concepts, like complexes, that are built around that idea. I wouldn't necessarily, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say like a God complex, but there's something going on.
The dimensions or any topic at all. I don't know everything, and I will never announce that I do. And for me,
but you do. Like, you literally will say, I don't claim to know everything. And then in the next sentence, like, maybe not in this particular case, but in the next sentence, kind of turn around and say, oh, but this is fact. There's no getting around this. Not knowing everything and understanding and actually truly being humble in the idea that you don't know everything is to accept the fact that there is room for your error, that you could be making a mistake, that you could be wrong in something that you refuse to do. You have never, not once, ever made a video saying that you were wrong about something or saying that you misunderstood something. Ever.
Making this video is really important for my viewers because I want to tell you why you should never buy this fucking book ever. And if you have this book, you're going to be shocked if you haven't read it yet and you haven't even opened the pages, or if you were thinking about it and you're like, maybe I should read it. Well, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't. I obviously don't like to trash other authors. There are so many people that give me...
I don't like to trash other authors, but I'm going to make an entire video trashing this guy and his book. And how you people, and I know you Melinda fanatics. I know you people are watching this right now. I know you're watching this right now. So I'm talking to you guys right now. I'm talking to you. How you don't see this shit is beyond me. Like, how you are so oblivious to the manipulation and the absolute decadent bullshit that she spews. I don't like trashing other authors because people have trashed my stuff, but I'm going to make this entire 30-minute video trashing this guy and his book. This guy that has a hell of a lot more qualifications than I do, that is internationally recognized, that, you know, gets paid to go on programs and talk about what he knows. right? That gets paid to write books. But I'm going to come on here like I know more than he does, and I'm going to tell you why he's a fuck up and why you should believe me and not him. And then you little people, you fall right into it. Oh shit, good times. All right, here we go.
So much shit for saying you are so illiterate, you're so ignorant, you don't know what you're talking about, you're stupid, da 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 da. I still to this day get hate mail and threats from demonology.
Yeah, so here comes. Oh, let her finish. Let's let her finish. Hold on.
Trists threatening me with even my King Payment video.
So here this is another little, this is another kind of like fascist tactic, right? So what this sets up, this is setting up the kind of like the let's blame them kind of thing, right? So think of, what Nazi Germany did with the Jews, right? What they did. So Adolf Hitler set the stage to blame Jews for everything that happened in Germany in World War I, and the reason why Germany failed, and all of this stuff. This propaganda, this rhetoric, these lies, and he created an enemy image. Think about the United States, the whole 9/11 thing, and then us getting involved in Iran and Iraq, right? The easiest way to unify a community, to unify a people, is to create an enemy image. So what happens here is immediately we come into this thing that if anyone says that she doesn't know what she's talking about, if anyone says that she's mistaken, then they're automatically these demonologists, these people that work with demons that want to cause her harm. Setting up the idea that she can't be wrong because the people that are attacking her are the very people that she's speaking out against, that she's the victim, and that she is this brave person that is coming out to the light to protect everyone in her community with this information that these people don't want you to know. You see the manipulation? It's not, I can't even say it's subtle. It's like in your face. It's like right fucking there. It's like in your face, man. Like it's one of those things. It's just like you just can't not see it. It's huge. It is. She's setting up the entire stage so she can't be wrong. She's setting it up. And the enemy image that her community, those of you fanatics that are watching this, she's setting it up. So anyone that disagrees with her, you can automatically just jump on and say, oh, no, it's got to be one of these people, right? I don't wish her any harm. I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to lie. She got hit by a bus yesterday. I don't give a shit. Yesterday, tomorrow, like, I don't care. I don't wish her harm, but it's neither here nor there for me. But she's creating this image for you to hate. And that image that she's creating for you to hate is she's going to use that, the whole Satanist, demonologist thing, to slap that label onto anybody that disagrees with her. Because she has such a strict point of view and such a strict criteria of what it is that she believes to be correct, that it's very easy for her to slap that label on. She is a modern day cult leader. She is a cult leader. She is building a cult, is what she's doing. All right, let's keep going.
Well, they're going to hate this one too. This is based on my opinion, for sure, psychically. But I'm also going to give you information on the facts of this book that are incorrect.
The facts that are incorrect. Oh, let's see it.
Psychically. And then I'm going to explain why. Now, I could go through page and page, but there are laws based on you can't do that through book reviews. You can go look through it yourself and you will see that I'm not lying here. I'm absolutely telling the truth. And I've gone through the book and there's still a little bit more I need to go through, but I've gone through most of it.
Again, I can't comment on anything that is in that book. I've not read the book. I can't say if anything was taken out of context. I just can't. This video is not about the book. It's about comments, the specific comments that she makes about Baphomet, which are misrepresentations. It's misinformation in that she doesn't know what she's talking about. And that's what this video is about. We're just having fun with everything else. It's building up to that is pretty much it. So I cannot comment on the book. If anyone has read that book and thinks that she's either correct or incorrect, leave it down in the comments. I'd like to know. I've not read it myself. I'm probably not going to buy the book. Honest. But yeah, here we go.
And even in the very beginning, when I first purchased this book, I bought this book with the illusion. Now keep in mind of that phrase for a second, okay? With the illusion of how pretty this cover is. I thought, that's a nice cover. That's what he wants you to think. You ever heard of that phrase? Don't.
That's what he wants you to think. You do know that you could read the description of the book first. You could have watched some reviews. You could have read a review. You could have investigated it first. Your claim here is very pretty, but not very well mapped out. Because Amazon has a pretty detailed review on that book and what that book is about. You're telling me that you literally went to Amazon, looked at the cover, said cool cover, and bought the book? Like you didn't bother seeing what it was about, if it was going to serve you or help you out with something? I honestly just think she's picking a fight. I personally believe that what she's doing is she's grabbing stuff like this and trying to pick fights with these authors or these creators, like the same thing with the tarot decks, right? With the occult tarot, right? I'm not going to do it, guys. I'm not going to do it. It's old. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. Terror. Sorry, had to. One. That was it. 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 Just one terror deck. Sorry. I honestly, it kind of feels like it's got that vibe to me that, it's just like this person has this one thing that's inside of this, so I'm just going to pick a fight with this person and see if I can't piggyback off of them, piggyback clout off of them, to get them to respond to me. And honestly, the thing is people like Matt and other people like that, they really don't have to. They are so much more successful than you are. They're so much more successful than I am. They don't care. They don't care about your opinion. You do make some exaggerated and wild claims about the man in this, here, you've already said a couple of them, about person's intentions, because of the cover art. He wants you to think that it's a nice book. He wants you to think it. He's manipulating you, right? And that's the whole thing, right? You project like the manipulation thing, right? Everyone else is manipulating, not you, Melinda. No, not you. Everyone else is being a manipulative bastard except for you. I happen to disagree. I think that the person here with the most manipulation is you. But that's just my opinion. Keep going.
Don't judge a book by its cover. This would be a great example. He does give examples in the book that there are a lot of witches that are not very psychic, and there are a lot of psychics that aren't witches. So he likes to integrate that together and discusses the difference between those senses of psychic senses and how to integrate that with witchcraft and with magic. And he talks about the energies, he talks about the differences, and a lot of the things he does talk about, okay, is true. All right, so I am highlighting that. There are a lot of factors in here that he does say is true. The pieces that I have highlighted here are the things that are misinformation, that are manipulative information that is incorrect and toxic, and in my psychic opinion, metaphysically aggressive. Okay, now let me phrase that again. In my psychic opinion, metaphysically aggressive. Not physically, not physical danger, metaphysical danger. I'm saying this as a disclaimer so he doesn't come back and fucking sue me or anyone else. Because as a critic, I'm allowed to say that. So just keep that known. He's going to have people who love the book. And then
Total agreement right there. As a critic, I mean, you're not a critic. You are giving a critique, but you are not a critic. You are of no particular expertise to call yourself a critic of anything. So, like, critics actually have a very extensive, provable education and knowledge in certain things to actually, be critics of something. Food critics or things of that nature, book critics and movie critics and things like that. They are critics that have a background in said thing. Your self, labeling of being a demonologist is not make you someone that can be a critic of these types of books. You can give a critique. You can give your opinion, and you are 100% allowed, permitted, and should be able to express your opinion on that. Just like me being able to express my opinion about your video and you. So let's keep going.
just going to have people who hate the book. I'm personally one of those people where I absolutely hate the book, and I'm going to tell you straight up why. Right when it came in the mail, the first thought I heard from my spirit guides, and I heard from my intuition, I heard, look through the pages. And I never get that. When I get a psychic book, when I get a witch book, I don't get that. Now, if I know...
When I get a witch book. A witch book. So you would think that your spirit guide or your psychic intuition would have told you that before you bought it. Would have told you, hey, stay away from it. It didn't happen. You bought it anyway, right? I don't know. Let's just keep going.
Oh, it's a demonology book, which I do for research. I don't worship them. I don't bother doing that because I know it's already deceptive, but I read it to see what people are worshiping.
And so there's another aspect. There's another little point of that kind of like misdirection, right? That kind of like that little seed being planted right there. That idea of like, okay, talking about things that are about demonology or like the worship of demons and things like that. She immediately jumps in and says, I already know it's going to be deceptive, which is planting the seed in you guys, the people that are watching this, that anyone that worships demons or works with demons or anything like that, or Luciferian or Satanists or anything like that, are automatically and always deceptive. Right? I'm sorry. Modern day Satanists, modern day Satanism, whether it be the Church of Satan, the Satanic Temple, the order set, anything like that. These are some of the most honest and direct people that you will ever meet in your life, because these are people that do not care what you think. And they will tell you how it is based on what they believe. Don't take my word for it. Try to have a conversation with one. See what happens. See how you feel. Get that preconceived notion out of your head that they're all liars and deceivers and things like, because it's not a thing. It's not a thing, right? People are either good or they're not good. What people believe in does not make them good or bad. And this is the problem. This has always been my problem from the beginning, is that everything that Melinda says is the basis of, because this person believes this, they are this kind of person. That is such a shit way to be thinking about people. That is a very Christian Catholic way to be thinking about people. Well, because you believe differently than I do, I can't be friends with you. I can't talk to you because my God hates you, right? It's the same reason. It's the same thing with, Christians and Catholics protesting gay marriage, calling gay people abominations. It's the same damn thing. It's the same thing. Because you believe this, or because you're this way, you're a bad person. Please tell me you guys can see the flawed logic inside of that. You are judging people outside of the realm of their character. You are sitting here and trying to say that something that they believe in, which comes from the heart, it comes from, something, a deeper place than, the mundane, something that makes them feel whole as a person, that makes them feel good about themselves. You're judging them on that and telling them that they are bad people, that they are deceivers, that they are liars, that they're the reason that bad things happen. Or can you imagine? Imagine that. Something that I believe in, that makes me feel good about myself, and makes me feel whole, that makes me happy. And you have the audacity to sit there and say that it makes me a bad person? It makes me evil? You have the audacity to say that? Who are you? Who are you to judge me? I don't judge you. I comment on the character that you show, but I don't judge you. So who are you to judge me? Based off of something that has nothing to do with you. So I hope that you can see the point of contention here and what it is that she's saying and why it's so wrong. And it is very subtle. It is very underhanded. It is this little seed that she plants inside of people's heads. So you automatically think that anyone that would disagree with her is the evil one. It keeps her safe. It's a shield that she puts up, that she has for the people that believe what she's saying. She knows that she's protected, because anyone that disagrees with her is automatically the enemy. I mean, when she did the video on me, one of her primary comments, he's a Satanist. How can you take him seriously? Based off of the fact that I have an alternative belief to yours, that means that you can't take me seriously? That means that I don't have valuable knowledge or something that you can learn from? That was the shield. That was the wall. That was the wall. He believes this, so you can't believe him. They believe this, so they're deceptive. They're manipulators. When in reality, the person doing the manipulating is Melinda. And as much as I hate to say it, she's doing a very good job of it. Now, I'd like to sit here and say that I see through all of it, but just looking at the following and looking at the comments, I'm sure that she gets a lot of negative comments, and she probably deletes most of those, like when she gets them, especially in the newer videos. And probably has moderators that do that for her as well. People to kind of go through the videos as comments come in and they get deleted. Or they just plain out block the person, so that way that those comments are not seen by the community. But she's doing a pretty good job at bullshitting people. And it's kind of sad. I'm going to be honest. Like I watching it and paying attention, and it's what I'm seeing is really sad, and that people don't see what is wrong with, you know, what's happening. So it's like, you're going to sit here and say that you can't believe me because I worship Baphomet. I'm a dedicant of Baphomet. You can't believe me. You can't, you know, listen to anything I have to say. I'm automatically being deceptive. I'm automatically lying. What do you think Hitler said about the Jews? Same idea. Judaism, being Jewish, is a religious belief. And so therefore the belief was that if you were Jewish, if that was your religious belief, that you were part of the problem, that you needed to be removed from the equation. I'm not seeing much of a big difference here. It's essentially the same thing. Fundamentally, it's the same idea. There's these people, they believe this. This is what makes them the problem, and you cannot listen to them. It's the same idea. It's fundamentally on the same basis. Now, is she, rallying people up and shooting them in the back of the head? No, I don't think that she would. But the rhetoric is the same. The rhetoric is the same. The finality of the action is different. I don't think it's ever going to get to that point, thankfully. But the rhetoric is the same. And rhetoric can still be dangerous. Regardless of whether or not somebody is actually calling for a particular action to take place, rhetoric can still be dangerous. Which is one of the things that I've always kind of pointed out on this channel, is that idea that when you start saying that people that believe in a particular thing are dangerous and are bad and things like that, one, it can become something very simply dangerous to their well-being, in the sense that it'll make it difficult for them to get a job. It'll make it difficult for them to be in social situations. And it could potentially become, fatal. Like if the wrong person believes that information and carries out the wrong action. I mean, we're looking at each month in the United States, there's 27 mass shootings every month in the United States, right? 200 so far this year. There's going to be a whack job out there that's going to take this information, that's going to take these kinds of things and wait for the next, Satan con and take advantage of that situation. We need, it's okay to have your opinion, but try not to generalize everything and say that everybody in this group is bad, because that's the dangerous part. Because you might not do anything. You might not, go that far. You might just, call me a few names and write a mean comment, and that be the extent of it. Somebody else might take it a lot further. So let's keep going.
To learn more about those deceptions. But when I got this book, all I heard was look through the pages. And when I did, this is what appeared. It can't get any more obvious than that. Now, for those of you who are witches or into magic, and you want to sit there and say right off the bat that has nothing to do with Satanism, let me remind a lot of you that Baphomet is very, very worshipped and heavily believed in Luciferianism and demonology and Satanism and devil worship. Okay? It's like that for a reason. Baphomet is an actual entity. I've actually met Baphomet, and I've been attacked by him several.
And here is the reason we're making this video. 43 minutes into it. One, I agree 100% with one thing that Melinda said. I do believe that Baphomet is an actual entity. I do not believe that Baphomet is just a representation like many of the people in the left-hand path like to think. So that's one. So there's that part of it. But you met him, and you are attacked by him. Baphomet is balance. Baphomet is my experience being a dedicant of Baphomet for 20 years, somewhere around there. Yeah, because it's about 14, a little less than 20 years, about 19, about 18, 19 years. So the only thing that I've ever gotten from Baphomet is balance, find balance, equilibrium. The light, the dark, the masculine, the feminine, balance, acceptance. The ability to, no matter how difficult a situation is, to be calm, be tranquil, to be able to think with a clear mind. That's Baphomet. You were attacked several times. I gotta call bullshit. Again, I gotta call bullshit. See, this is another thing here. It's like anything that is even remotely close to working with demons, or has anything to do potentially, or has had anything to do with demons. See, Melinda is one of those people that she doesn't dig deeper. She has a surface knowledge, which is, generally speaking, you can tell most of it comes from, skimming over a book. It comes from watching a movie. It comes from putting pieces together and just, what the church says. It's a lot of what the church says. No self-respecting witch, and I'm saying it, no self-respecting witch is going to see Baphomet and come out and say Baphomet is evil. Quite literally, Melinda is using Baphomet right now as a scapegoat, right? Is to say that all of these things are happening, and it's Baphomet is used in all of these different things. And the reason for that is not because people are misinformed and make stupid decisions. No, but rather because Baphomet is the devil or is a demon and the reason I'm writing the book that I'm writing about Baphomet is because I've experienced automatic writing, and Baphomet has written quite a bit through me. I believe that wholeheartedly. Okay? Wholeheartedly, Baphomet has written through me. And Baphomet himself is tired of being your devil. Baphomet is not the devil. Baphomet is not satanic. That is someone taking that image and using it as a representation, as kind of like the devil as the adversary. But Baphomet's is tired of it. Is tired of being the world's devil, the world's Satan. And what I'm hoping to kind of bring forth with the book that I'm writing, which is the Book of Baphomet, Conversations with the Horned One, is just that. Is the understanding that the publicity's been great, but the understanding's been lost in translation. A return to kind of roots, so to speak. Yeah. So I think it's funny how she kind of jumps on this, because what most people do when it comes to Baphomet and people that are dedicants of Baphomet, what most people do when they want to counteract or kind of destroy people's belief in Baphomet, they bring up the history of Baphomet and where Baphomet came from. And Baphomet came from, this basically a linguistic misunderstanding between the Knights Templar and another culture of people that it is believed that they were saying Muhammad, and the Knights Templar understood it as something along the lines of Baphomet. And it created a whole scandal that these Templar were worshiping this demon. It goes by that name. We didn't get an image for Baphomet until a French artist. I can't remember when, but it was a French artist that drew that image that she showed on the screen. That's from a French artist, and then was kind of extended by Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley kind of jumped into the whole Baphomet thing, and that kind of became kind of the balance, right? That was Baphomet. Baphomet is balance. So that's the history. This is a very brief and not detailed whatsoever kind of history where Baphomet kind of comes from. But I believe that all entities kind of choose how they want to come back and how they want people to view them inside of society. I think that each entity chooses that. For whatever reason, it is what it is. I do believe that Baphomet is an entity, and I do believe that Baphomet chose how he was going to come back and how people were going to believe in him and how he was going to be represented in, that charge. Why? I have no idea, but that's how it came to be. What we're watching right now, though, is a person that has no knowledge of who or what Baphomet actually is, outside of maybe the Goetia. Which and I'm going to be honest, I highly doubt that Melinda's ever actually read the Goetia, which you would think that as a demonologist, it would be, that book at the top of your list, to study demons. But I highly doubt that she's even read it. But let's keep going.
Several times, and we'll get into that in another video, but this is one of the bigger issues that I have, because I will say he encourages self-possession. Can't make that up. He encourages possession of invoking a lower self, which we'll get into that in a second. He also talks about
self-possession. So that's something I'm going to have to look into, but that does not sound like possession, right? Self-possession. Possession of the self. That to me, that sounds like more like digging into your own mind and kind of understanding yourself and, understanding who you are as a person. Self-possession, being possessed by yourself, by who you are as a person, right? Now, I've never heard anyone else mention that, Baphomet's for self-possession, but it would make sense, kind of like the idea of balance, to be balanced inside of oneself. Balance inside your own mind, inside your spirit, is hence the one hand up and the one hand down. It's as above, so below, right? So, Baphomet is the epitome of balance. There's no aggression there. There is zero aggression with Baphomet. When it comes to the left-hand path, in my personal opinion, if you're going to work with any entity starting out in the left-hand path, Baphomet is the entity to start out with. Like a lot of people say Belial, or Basil, anything like that. In my personal opinion, I think that Baphomet is probably like the Baphomet is balance. It's finding that or inner peace at any costs necessary. If you start working with Baphomet, and then you're asking for balance and understanding of your own life, and you start to notice that friends are falling off, and maybe you're going to start going through a divorce, things like that, or you break up with your girlfriend or something, you lose your job. the things that are holding you back from being balanced inside of yourself are the things that are going to fall away first. That's just how it works. And that's one of the reasons why that working with something like Baphomet gets such a bad rap, because all of these things kind of start to happen, but you have to understand that all of the things that are starting to fall away from you are the things that are holding you back from finding that inner peace, finding that inner balance. It's not just ripping something away and then not putting you on a path. It's ripping something away so you can be on a path, get to that point. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. So.
About how people have 3 souls, not 1. So in the book, he talks about how we have a higher self, a middle self, and a lower self. But then it's really strange, because then he'll talk about you have a higher self, a lower self, and a middle self. And I went, why would he put middle at the last when it should be higher, middle, lower? But he goes higher, lower, middle. And I'm like, why would he do that? So he talks about the higher self, middle self, and lower self, and he discusses that basically we have 3 souls. That's what he specifically describes in this book. I'm not shitting you. He actually says that people have 3 souls, not 1. And then he talks and discusses about how there are different levels of consciousness, and then he describes that basically the lower self can actually abandon your higher self. He closely refers to the middle self as a part of the ego. Also, in some cases, even with the lower self, which I thought, okay, I'll buy that. I'll take that for a second. But then it started getting weirder and weirder. And then it got even more strange, because then he started describing how the middle self and the lower self can be rejected. And I went, what? And then he started talking about how basically the middle self and the lower self become rejected and become basically like left behind on the earth plane. And that's how ghosts and poltergeists and...
So what this sounds like is this, again, I've not read this book, but judging by the fact that she mentioned that he had mentioned ego and there's 3 different levels to self, it sounds quite a bit like Jungian psychology, right? So the idea of the shadow self, right? There's a part of you that's in the light, that the part that the world sees, the ego, and then below the ego, there's the shadow. There's the shadow self. The ego kind of lives kind of like in the middle, right? So it's kind of like half light, half dark. And don't get it confused, you wonderful little light warriors, you. If you knew anything about psychology, you'd understand that the shadow self is just the parts of you that you hide from the rest of the world because you're afraid to show it. They're the parts of you that you learned about, or you learned growing up through experience that were not accepted by society, and you threw it in there. It's where the trauma lives, right? It's not nice, it's not good to talk about your trauma. So when you don't talk about your trauma, it goes into it exists inside of the shadow self. And certain behaviors and things like that kind of start to creep through a little bit. So Jungian psychology is kind of like, so there's kind of like a circle, and then there's kind of like, it's broken into kind of like 2 parts essentially, but inside those parts there's like, you can kind of break it into 3, because then you have the part that like you project to the world, that you show the world. Then you kind of go further down, there's another layer, then there's the middle part, which is the ego, if I remember correctly, and then you go through, and then that's where you kind of get to the shadow part, the part that you hide away from the world. Shadow has nothing to do with like the evil and the darkness. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's where your trauma goes. It's where like negative experiences live. That's the shadow self. So it sounds like a spiritual, like it sounds like he's kind of taking like kind of like a spiritualist approach to Jungian psychology. So Jungian, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but Jungian psychology is kind of like, Jungian used to work with Freud, and there was a falling out, and they kind of separated, and Freud had his way of thinking about things, and Jung had his way of thinking about things. And Jungian psychology does have kind of like that concept of kind of like 3 levels to self. So it kind of sounds like it would make sense, because in that aspect of psychology, when you talk about the dark side of the ego and the shadow self, the part that gets along with society could very well reject that part and not decide to work with the shadow part. Because if you don't unify, there's a way to kind of take your shadow, do shadow work, kind of heal your trauma and heal heal the things that have happened to you, and so that way, like, that trauma doesn't exist, inside the shadow, but is something that dealt with and has become a strength rather than a weakness. So it would make sense, kind of like the spiritualist idea of saying that the conscious light self could reject the shadow self by not working out trauma that exists there. And it is that negativity, that negative energy that upon death kind of stays here. I don't know if I necessarily buy it, but because it's not necessarily how I believe in things, but it does make sense. So it sounds like kind of thinking like Jungian psychology and kind of giving it kind of like a spiritualist kind of perspective on it. That's what it sounds like. And I think that Melinda would probably do better if, when she does like these types of videos, that she does actual research on the things that people are talking about. So she might have been able to provide, what I just said. She might have been said, well, this sounds like Jungian psychology, and actually give you something. Because right now, the only thing she's giving you, demons are bad. That's what demons are bad. Don't read this book. It's on the no read list. Something else that fascists do.
Lower earthbound spirits and paranormal. He even said necromancy, and I went, does he know what he's talking about? Because necromancy is not an entity, it's a spiritual ritual. It's a black magic ritual. So, I mean, I'm not shitting you. It's in the book, and it was really strange. I mean, why would he...
Again, like I said, I've not read the book. So, for example, something like that I have no comment on because I don't know the context of the comment. Her ability to provide context is absolutely fucking horrible. So I just can't say anything on it because I've not read the book. So
list necromancy as a part of an entity, because necromancy, okay, so necromancy is black magic where a person is working to summon and work with the dead and using body parts, using bones. Bones is very popular, and even going to graves, to abandoned graves or just graveyards, and trying to summon and work with spirits through working with the dead with the actual body. And there's a saying in these belief systems of necromancy that you can actually make the dead person talk and actually physically talk like a zombie, which obviously is scientifically fucking impossible, but a lot of people, even in necromancy, believe that. But there are a lot of people who also have common sense and know that's not gonna happen, but know that
common sense,
they can manipulate it with the spirits and basically connect with that soul, with that dead body, is my point. But still, for him to suggest that necromancy would be a part of that is very strange and laughable, because necromancy is not an earthbound spirit. It's an act. It's a ritual in itself. And I have this in my notes. I have to read this. He claims non-psychics and witches describe intelligent parasitic beings as demonic activity and poltergeists.
So I kind of agree with that statement, because it's kind of like people that don't have a deeper understanding of like working with the... I know how to pause, don't I? I know how to pause. Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck. Oh, dear me. All right. So it's it kind of makes sense to a degree, like, because most people that I know of that are pagan or, are witches and things like that, that kind of have kind of like an understanding of kind of like the entities that, like, some believe in demonics in the way that the church believes in demonics, and I guess it's becoming more of a popular thing. But that's relatively new, honestly, like within the pagan community. Not necessarily in the left-hand path community, but definitely in the pagan community. Because generally speaking, I remember when I first got involved in the pagan community, 20 plus years ago, that, it was a complete abandonment of, Judeo-Christian ideals, that we didn't subscribe to those ideas, or those belief systems at all. So that's kind of a thing, right? So yeah, let's keep going.
That's cute. I like that he used the phrase parasitic. What does that remind you of? Oh, teal. And what did teal reference demonic activity? As parasitic beings. So this seems to be an ongoing trend that I've noticed. And let's be very clear about something. It doesn't matter if you change the name and call them parasitic beings. What is a parasite? A parasite is a thing that latches onto you and sucks the life out of you. What does a demon do? What does a demon do? Yeah, does this...
Again, remember what the precedent, the preface that we set at the beginning of this video. If you look at demons in the Judeo-Christian definition of what a demon is, then she has salt to her argument. It holds water. But if you understand the origin of the word demon coming from the ancient Greek daemon, and that a daemon was a guiding spirit that was there to guide you, which is what we use, modern day demons to do, is to guide us into certain things depending on what it is that we want to. For example, Paimon, King Paimon would be, about, the arts and things like that, creativity, to guide you into that direction, to guide you into those things. Baphomet, balance, right? Belial, power, and, strength. So, like, they still maintain, the air of guidance that they were originally, set for. So depends on the definition that you go with. If you go with the Judeo-Christian definition, then yeah, you could say that. But if you understand where the word comes from and where words come from and the meaning of the words are very important, especially in these types of things. Daemon is a guiding spirit, which then means that her entire argument holds no water. It just falls apart. Demons are not parasitic beings. They're guiding spirits.
The same fucking things. We identify demons as demons because that helps us to identify them. Now demons have their own category of themselves. That's why we identify them as demonic entities, because they are from a demonic hell realm, which is a very real realm. Okay, but parasitic beings is a very broad term that's actually very dangerous, because parasitic beings could be anything. It could be a gremlin. It could be literally, gremlins actually do exist. It could be gnomes. It could be fairies. It could be dragon spirits. It could be lower vibrational spirits. It could be a poltergeist. It could be an entity that was concocted from witchcraft, that is an entity all by itself without a name at all, but it was created from this witch, which does happen. So parasitic beings is a phrase to describe basically a broad term.
Well, I mean, I think it would be safer to use a broad term, right? Because you have a parasitic being. That's what it is. It latches on and it causes harm. I think you're getting, getting into a little bit of a tough here, because it diminishes your definition of what a demon is. Because again, if we go by the ancient Greek daemon, they are not parasitic beings. They are guiding spirits. That dismantles your entire belief concept, the entire structure. You have everything built around falls apart with that one simple fact. Not an opinion. It's not an opinion. It's a verifiable fact that the modern Judeo-Christian definition and word demon was taken from the ancient Greek daemon. It's a fact, not an opinion. And, I mean, Melinda, here's a concept that you may very well appreciate, I guess. Facts don't care about your feelings. They just are.
term that this entity sucks the life out of people and is a psychic vampire and drains people. But that in itself does not properly identify its characteristics or its intelligence. It doesn't. So when he uses the phrase non-psychics, it's a huge insult to psychics who do identify these entities on a daily basis. I did adamantly speak with my spirit guides. I work very closely with Horus. He's an ascended divine ancient Egyptian god. I actually have a statue of him now, and I have been working with Isis, who is actually his mother. She's a divine feminine. She's absolutely wonderful. And I've been working with Osiris, who is her spouse, who is her divine masculine. He's wonderful. Thoth, another ancient Egyptian god, and Anubis, and I work with still Archangel Michael, with Gabriel, and I work with Uriel, and I work with many other entities, with Ra, the sun god Ra. He's fantastic, and I will definitely make videos on all these beings eventually. But my point is this: I sat very closely, I sat down with my spirit guides, and it was a very thorough investigation into this book. And I even sat and spoke with Ed Warren, and Ed Warren even...
Ed Warren? You mean the guy that was proven to be a fraud? Like, I'm a little tired of hearing about this. I mean, the Warrens were proven to be frauds. Right? They were full of shit. And I can't help but be irritated by this whole thing. Like, I sat down with my spirit guides and researched with my spirit guides. I didn't use Google. I didn't find anything that I can show you that's actually true. You're just going to have to believe me that it was my spirit guides, and don't believe anybody that disagrees with me, because anybody that disagrees with me is a demonologist or a Satanist, and they are horrible people because of the fact that they believe these things. Oh, and don't read this book, because this book is bad, because this book has something in it that is completely against my entire belief system, which means it should be completely against your entire belief system. Fascist.
Even read through the book, and he was founded on he was flabbergasted by the amount of manipulation throughout this entire book. The issue with this book...
There's that word again, manipulation. Honestly, the only person that is manipulating information and facts to fit their own narrative is Melinda. Melinda is constantly and forever doing this. I don't know.
That really needs to be identified is how he, again, similar to Teal and a lot of black witches, he is a black witch. I'm going to say this in my opinion. He didn't...
A black witch. Black witch. So we're going to ignore the fact that, you know, black magic and all that is derived from racist origins. That's also verifiable. You can look it up. Started in England. In Europe. Not necessarily England, but it started in Europe. But we're going to ignore that and know that she's using black witch as the idea of using the color black to identify, you know, this person being someone that works malevolently inside of magic. So, again, I've read up on Matt. Matt is not a black magician, but rather a very literate and well-rounded witchcraft practitioner. It's the best way I know how to put it. The man has a great many title, you know, that he has earned throughout the years. And honestly, like, I would trust anything that Matt says 1,000 times over Melinda, because this is a man that has actually gone through the paces. and can show what he's done and show what he's learned, and that somebody with knowledge from the Warren movies, he blows her out of the water because nothing that she talks about is verifiable. She's building up a little bit of information. The more people kind of criticize her, like she kind of goes in and she kind of she finds like the information after the fact. But I think that if she actually took the time to find the information before she did some of these videos, that I think these videos would actually be educational for people instead of just pure fear mongering. Don't believe this and don't follow this and don't talk to these people. And instead of all of that bullshit, it would be more educational and actually allow people to kind of develop their practice, right? So, like, I mean, she said not that long ago in like one of the first videos I reacted to about tarot cards, about how tarot cards open up doors and gates and things like that. Especially the demon, the ones, the occult tarot, which was based off of the Ars Goetia. The goetic demons. And now she has a channel dedicated to tarot. And I guess, I mean, look, I mean, she's growing, right? She's learning some things, but the problem is the more she learns, the more she uses it and manipulates it to her benefit, right? I mean, the best lies have a little bit of truth in them, right? So, and that's kind of like the situation we're running into here, like with this whole thing with Baphomet and things like that. But keep it going.
He didn't identify himself as a black witch. However, throughout parts of this book,
and there's the thing. That's another. He didn't identify himself as a black witch, but you're calling him a black witch. What right do you have? What right do you have to identify someone? What authority are you? You don't have the authority, Melinda. You cannot do that. You cannot tell people that someone is something. That's defamation. Like, you're lying. You're making claims about somebody that are untrue, that are unverifiable. I can hear. You can't do that. You can't. That's wrong. That's wrong.
He actually does identify how he works with both the right hand and left hand path. He adamantly, openly says that. Now, for anyone who's new, being a left hand path means you work with demons and you work with devils. So when a person clearly
being on the left-hand path does not necessarily mean that you work with devils and demons. First and foremost. It does not mean that. That is throwing everyone into one basket. So, being left-hand path, the definition that I provide for being left-hand path as someone that has been in the left-hand path for quite some time, is that being in the left-hand path is merely having an understanding that light and dark exist simultaneously, and that you cannot have one without the other. You cannot have light without darkness. You cannot have understanding of light and darkness without one or the other. The night is dark, but we do not fear the night. We do not hate the night for being the nighttime or for being dark. We understand that the nighttime provides, its own benefits: rejuvenation, sleep, rest, healing. The night provides all of that, and we understand that. So therefore, we do not, hate the night. So to sit there and say that, the left-hand path is exclusively working with demons or devils is very, it's misinformation. It's very ignorant of you to say that. And it's limiting the scope of what left-hand path actually is, which is the understanding that in order to have full appreciation of the light, you must understand that there is the darkness. have appreciation for what the darkness can provide you, you need to have understanding of the light. The world is not black and white. There are a lot of gray areas. It's not simply just good and evil, which is what Melinda is trying to lay down here. That what she says is law, despite the fact that at the beginning of things she says she doesn't know everything. But if you listen to every pass of this video, she proves adamantly that she doesn't believe that statement. She believes that she's right in everything that she says, and what she says is law, and that you should believe it too. And that if she says that something is bad and someone is bad, then you essentially need to cancel and remove that thing from your life because she said so. If you have this book, burn it because it's bad. Don't read it. She has contradicted everything that she said. Everything she said at the beginning of this video, she has contradicted every single statement throughout this video. And we're only 15 minutes into this, guys. Like, I've done an hour and 20-minute video off of 15 minutes of a 37-minute video. This is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to end it here in a minute.
Clearly identifies himself as a left-hander, which I'm left-handed. You can be left-handed but not be walking with the fucking devil. And I'm sorry, I swear, but I got to be honest about this because this blew my mind. I have a hard time reading through the rest of it. I read through most of it, 90% of it, but even then, I wanted to make sure that I got as much as I could from this book to really get into the idea of the mind of this person, to really see what he's feeding to millions of people possibly. And I will say this, just because he's sold thousands of books and he has over 6,000 reviews on Amazon, that doesn't mean that thousands of people agreed to it. You always got to make a note of that.
But it does. So if he's got 6,000 positive reviews, that would mean 6,000 people agree with it. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have people that didn't like the book. That doesn't mean he didn't have people that that didn't disagree with the book. This is obvious because Melinda disagrees with it. But I mean, I've heard nothing but positive things about this book from everyone that I've ever talked to. I've not personally read it. The current book that I'm actually reading and researching on, Melinda would love this one. Because this one is actually on black magic. So the current book that I'm reading is the complete book of black magic and witchcraft. I particularly like this book because it's not just somebody writing their opinion, but after every chapter, all the source material is written into the back of it, so you can actually do the research and check and verify, what's being talked about. That's something that I kind of really appreciate about that book, is that all of the source material is actually in the after each chapter, so you can kind of do your own research and verify the things that they're saying. So if you're interested in a book about black magic, then I would say do that one.
Just because there are reviews doesn't mean they were all good reviews. And I want to also be honest about this too. He may have sold 1 million copies, but that doesn't mean that 1 million people agreed with this nonsense. 6,000 people, let's say in hindsight, he sold 1 million copies, but he only had 6,000 positive reviews. That means there's...
It sounds like to me she's a little butthurt that he's a best-selling author and she's struggling to move her shit off the shelves. That's how it sounds to me. It sounds to me that she's a little irritated that this guy with a picture of Baphomet in his book is selling as many copies of that book to this day, because it was published a while ago and it's still a bestseller. So it sounds like she's a little irritated with it. I don't know. I would like to react to more of this. We're about 17 minutes into this video, but I have reached my limit. There apparently the person that sent this video to me says that she goes as far as saying that, Baphomet, encourages bestiality and
some shit like that. I haven't gotten to that point. I haven't seen it. But this is already like an hour and a half long video, guys. So I'm not going to comment on her saying that because I haven't heard it. I don't know if she actually says it, so I can't react to it. I haven't seen it. I think I will definitely do a part 2 to this, but this has already been an hour and a half long. So it happened, guys. It happened. I wasn't trying to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to make another video about LFM, but somebody sent this video to me, and because Baphomet was in it, I kind of had to. Like I said, I'm a dedicant to Baphomet, so, you know, got to represent. So that's where this comes from. That's why I did this. I did not want the first pre-recorded video back to be this, but it is what it is. So there you go. You guys are fucking amazing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this. If you made it this way, if you made it all the way through to the end of this video, if you are here with me right now, I want you to type in the chat, hail thyself. Type in the chat, type hail thyself if you watch this entire video, because that's exactly what I want you to do. You guys are amazing. You are the reason that I do this. Hail thyself, and I will see you in the next video.